I know dozens of entrepreneurs with 7-figure online businesses, and when I talk to them about their journey from zero to $1 million in revenue, they all say the same thing. It all seems so simple. It was all so obvious what to do. I just didn't know it at the time. And the more business owners I met at different revenue levels, the more I realized they all encounter exactly the same problems at all those different levels. So if you're trying to build $1 million online education business, then the best thing you can do is to learn from those who have done it before. So in that spirit, let's take a walk. I will tell you what these businesses have in common and what you can learn from them on your own journey to 7 figures. In case you don't know me, my name is Olly Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com and a mentor and advisor to online education businesses. And the best way to explain this is through the lens of two different entrepreneurs at two different revenue levels. So we'll talk about low 6 figures and then higher 6 figures, and you'll see how they're connected. So at the low 6-figure level, typically we'd be talking about 200, 300,000 in annual revenue. At this point, the entrepreneurs still can't really believe that they've been successful. The memories of their last salary job are still fresh, and they find it very difficult to believe they've actually done what they've done, that they're making hundreds of thousands in revenue, and it's still very fresh. And so at this point, it's a mix of two things. It's a mix of disbelief, it's a mix of excitement, and also trepidation, because, what comes next? So what does the entrepreneur do at this stage? Well, typically they start to do lots and lots of different things, because their psychology at this point is, I don't want this to go away. I better make sure I have something to fall back on in case something goes wrong. Also, how do I grow? Because I'm working flat out. I'm working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks, and it can't grow much beyond me. And so we have to try some different things. And so this is what the entrepreneur does at this stage. They try lots and lots of different things. They add a new traffic sources. They build a whole bunch of different products. They maybe start to hire people. And it goes from being a picture of simplicity to a picture of quite a lot of different things going on. So let's fast forward now to the entrepreneur at a higher revenue level. So we're talking somewhere between 700,000 to just under $1 million in online revenue. And what you find with these entrepreneurs is this is the consequence of what happens at the lower revenue levels if you don't focus. So they will have 4 or 5 different revenue streams, some bringing in more money than less, but all producing different ways. They are working very intensely. They are involved in fulfillment, they're doing email, they're doing Zoom meetings, they're managing a team all by themselves. They're doing all these different things, and there's no focus. It's not clear who the avatar is. In most cases, they're servicing 3 or 4 different avatars within their business. The products are all kind of going live all the time, and it's just a general picture of chaos. And this is a consequence of the decisions made by the entrepreneur at the lower revenue level. So if you're at 200,000-300,000 and you decide to start adding new products and new traffic sources and things like that, you don't necessarily notice the problem right away. But when you're then at the higher revenue levels and you realize, actually, I've hit a hard limit. I've got all these products going on. I'm working flat out. I've got a team who are costing me a whole load of money. My profit margin's wiped out because I'm carrying so much overhead. I don't actually know how to scale. And this is the ceiling problem, because when you have all these things going on and you've got all this complexity in the business, you then cannot scale it any further because things will start falling apart very, very quickly indeed. Now, when you then skip up to entrepreneurs making millions a year, what you notice is that their businesses are all very, very simple. They have usually 1 revenue stream, maybe 2 revenue streams. They might have a few smaller things going on, but most of their money is made in 1 or 2 different ways. They also have 1, 2 main traffic sources maximum. In other words, their business is a picture of simplicity. And how can that be? How did they get there? Well, in most cases, they got there from going through the chaotic period and then figuring out what they were doing wrong and then radically stripping stuff back in order to get to the core of the business, because it's the simplicity of the business that scales. Simplicity of traffic, customer acquisition, simplicity of product and fulfillment. You can only scale simplicity. You cannot scale complexity. And so to solve this problem and to get things right and to fast track your way as quickly as possible from low 6 figures to 7 figures, you have to bear this in mind and realize that it's through simplicity that I'm going to grow. Now, the problem is a knowledge gap, right? Because when you're at the low 6 figures range, you don't know exactly what it is that will scale from, say, 100,000 to $1 million. But you don't find that out by trying a whole bunch of different things. What you do at that level is to heavily optimize the things that you're already doing. Think of it like this. If you've managed to get to 200,000-300,000 in revenue, you're a new entrepreneur and you've done it without much knowledge, well then imagine what you could do with knowledge, with skill and with training. In my case, for example, when I was growing Story Learning, I had a blog and some language courses. That was it. And I made the mistake then of adding podcasts and YouTube channels and all these different extra courses. Whereas what I really should have done was said to myself, right, I've managed to find some level of success by just kind of learning about blogging and building products from listening to random podcasts out there. Imagine if I became a pro at driving SEO traffic to my blog. Imagine if I became a pro at designing products and pricing them properly to get maximum average customer value. If I just had stuck to that then I would have reached 7 figures so much faster, because those were all the things I needed to do. I already had the right ingredients to build a 7-figure business. All I needed to do was double down on the basic skills that had got me there in the first place. So that's the thing to focus on. Really, the secret to go from 6 to 7 figures is to avoid all of the shiny objects out there that are clamoring for your attention, and instead to ask yourself, what are the core competencies that have got me to where I am, and how can I turn pro at those things? So if I've got to where I am by posting on Twitter every now and again and then building a product, well, what happens if I become a pro at posting on Twitter and really learn how the experts do it? Double down on your knowledge. If you have built your traffic based on YouTube by posting a video a week, just randomly talking about things you like, then ask yourself, well, what happens if I become a real pro at YouTube? Because usually that thing where you've got traction is by far the easiest thing to scale. It's much easier than adding a brand new traffic source right from the beginning. Doing more of what's already working is the secret to most growth in business. And so that really is the pathway. And if I were to go back to the beginning and start all over again, then I would always be asking myself, rather than adding something new, how instead can I double down and become pro at the things that have got me to where I am? If you found this video useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. It really helps the algorithm. And I'll see you for another walk next time.